the Kelowna RCMP.
Hi, how are you doing?
Good, how are you?
Not doing so good.
No? What's happening?
Yeah, my husband died January 14th at 11:18 a.m. at Kelowna General Hospital.
I'm sorry?
My husband died January 14th at Kelowna General Hospital.
Okay, and who am I speaking to? Because I'm looking to speak to Keith.
You're speaking to Keith right now.
Okay. And your husband died on the 14th.
Correct.
Okay.
And I had a visit, so naturally I was, naturally I was grieving as one would after being with somebody for 25 years.
Yep, understandable.
And 48 hours, I had the ERT shoot my windows and my wall out in my RV.
Yep, correct.
And allegedly, somebody said I was suicidal. And my neighbor, who has put a document into writing, said, you guys went to him saying I had a gun. He says I don't have a gun.
Well, Keith, as much as I'd like to discuss all the who's and what's and, who gave us the information stuff, under the Privacy Act, I can't. But I can say that we did receive a report that a person, Keith, was suicidal at 1749 Burns.
May I ask who, since you're the third person that I've spoken to today, and I was referred to you to get to the details, may I find out at least who called and said that, because there was no suicide. Because for one thing, I am legally entitled to assisted suicide. So why would I be suicidal wielding a weapon? And where is the evidence of this weapon, since there's video and photos online? And I have a hole in my window where I was shot and hit in the chest, and a hole in my wall. And if I sound upset, it's probably because I wasn't because I'm being accused of something that I did not do.
No, understandably. I mean, you have a right to be upset. I could be upset if this sort of thing happened at my residence too, especially if it involves me. Getting back to it, I cannot disclose who called us and who gave us that information, but we were given that information, and it appeared, and I'm just reading because I wasn't there.
Right, I understand that.
Right. What it does say is there was some threats made against the police. If the police showed up, you would do some certain things. So
who made those? Since you could tell me that those threats were made, who said those?
Again, the same person who called us.
Well, that person. I have a video of two women inside my RV that day and showed up the day before. These two women were never invited into my home. They were.
Who are these two women?
Their names are Shirley and Diane. And I suggest they're the ones who called you, because you might want to investigate Diane, a alleged nurse, formerly of Prince George, who also, when I became aware after everything happened, and after I was arrested under the Mental Act, and released within hours because they knew I was not a threat.
Right.
And had somebody knocked on my door. I had a call from Renee. I had a call from Renee at 2:40. I was asleep. I was grieving a husband that I spent the last year taking care of, fighting a long battle of pancreatic cancer. He lasted 6 months longer than expected. I was also at the hospital. I was at the hospital every day. Every single day looking after him. The amount of sleep that I had, by the time he died, I was dead myself.
Right.
I was dead myself. Shirley let herself into my home. Shirley, knowing that I was on benzodiazepines, is seen in video that I have, including officers going through my house with guns. Shirley is seen giving me Bailey's Irish Cream while knowing I'm on benzodiazepines, and my benzodiazepines and my husband's totally disappeared. Now, those prescriptions were filled on the 14th, and I forget the date of my husband's offhand, but I know that I gave him 3. He thought he was having panic attacks. He was having seizures. So he stopped taking. He didn't know he was having seizures till he went in the hospital. He told me these drugs were making him feel uncomfortable. So I know that he only had 3. All mine, had I taken them with the big bottle of alcohol that Shirley alleges that I drank, I wouldn't have been able to walk.
Right.
So I would investigate.
This is what I know.
Okay.
So, you said somebody did knock at your door. When the police showed up, they did knock at your door numerous times. In fact, they did go on the loud hailer. They banged on the wall. They banged on the windows. Eventually, you're right. There was a beanbag that was deployed that opened or that broke the window.
Excuse me, a witch?
A beanbag, like it's a rubber non-lethal round.
It's called a rubber bullet. It's not a beanbag. There's a difference between a beanbag. Beanbags have bags in. It's a bag containing beans. Trust me, I've got 2 of these rubber bullets.
Yep. And
one hit me in the chest.
For 13 years, you haven't then. So
Pardon me?
What I choose. I said, trust me. You can call it what you choose. I'm calling what we call it as. Okay, so that's.
You call that as a beanbag, correct?
That's what the terminology we use.
Okay, I'll use rubber bullets so that we can use them interchangeably.
Yep, that's fine. Yep. And at the end of the day, after the window was broken, you came out and surrendered to the police, where you were transported to the hospital and you were certified. Very shortly after, you might have been released. I don't know. I don't have that information. But I guess what I'm calling you about is you called us and you were upset about the manner the police attended your house.
Yes, I think getting shot through the wall and the fact that I was asleep after so much time, I don't believe anybody blew any sort of horn or whatever. I had a dog there that I was looking after.
Yep, I totally get it, and I'm not going to tell you.
I will tell you right now, saying somebody knocked on the door and all that, they could have opened that door rather than shot the window out.
Probably so. Yeah.
Probably so. No, it could have been so because I left the door open. Obviously, if an old lady, a registered nurse, can trespass into my property without my permission, surely a group of men with guns know how to handle a door handle.
Right, and I wasn't there, so I'm just going by what I'm reading. Right.
I'm telling you that I was there, and I'm telling you that I got hit in the chest. Obviously, when I was getting up out of bed.
Right.
So obviously,
that's what happened.
Yes, but I want to know why police were at my house, but before they went to my house, they went to the house across the street, also laid out one of those tire things so you can't drive across the driveway, preventing the farmer who has cows on the land from coming over to attend to his cows. And the gentleman who encountered the police there told him that he was upsetting his children and that he was posing them a danger, and he told them that wasn't his business. Now this I find really, really rude, and I'm just wondering, is it because I'm disabled? Gay?
I didn't know you were disabled. I have no idea.
Is it because I'm disabled? Gay? Why would a grieving person? You guys had a phone call? You guys react to every phone call alleging somebody's suicidal with bullets?
No, not with bullets, but we assess the situation as it goes. It's a dynamic situation. And yes, to answer your question, quite frankly, we do attend to and speak to and assess every claim or phone call of a suicidal person, whether they're, as you say, whether they're gay or disabled or not. It has nothing to do with it.
And your name is?
Suicidal. It's Constable Chapman.
And Constable Chapman.
Yep.
Okay, so you can tell me that these people who called you said I made threats to the police. You can tell me all this, but you can't tell me who?
No, but I will give you some information as to how to maybe attain that information.
Oh, please do, yes.
Yeah, okay. So, I can give you the file number. You need to take wait till you get the pen.
Yeah.
The phone number is 2022
Yeah.
dash 2950.
Sorry?
Sorry, it's 2022
Yeah.
2950.
Yeah.
And if you want, you're not going to get a full copy of the report for obvious reasons, but the most you're going to get through the Freedom of Information Act is if you come to the front counter here and ask for disclosure on that phone number, you present that phone number. They're probably going to ask you for identification because they want to know who you're dealing with. And just say, I want as much access I can get to that file under the Freedom of Information Act.
So you're going to tell me that I'm going to find in that file that I made threats to the police, correct?
I'm going to tell you that if you get the file through that Freedom of Information Act, you'll probably answer a lot of your questions.
No, I'm specifically asking. You told me that I made threats to the police. I'm asking you, will I find that since you told me that allegedly you have access to information that I don't? But you just told me that I made threats to the police, and I'm just asking you, will that be reflected in the report dated that day?
Yes, I'm reading it right in front of me, and I see that there was a report of a suicidal person, namely you, and that certain threats were made towards the police if the police show up.
Well, this is really curious why a person who's suicidal, who has no idea that the cops have even been called, would make a threat.
No, and I kind of hear you on that, Keith. You and I don't know each other, but we've been talking for about 10 minutes.
Yeah.
You don't sound to me that type of a person. I can tell
No.
you that just by talking to you.
No, I'm not. But I want to know what's going to happen to Shirley and her friend Diane, because this is all going up on the internet. Everything that happened on that day is on video in my home.
Okay, and that's obviously, if you have video in your home, that's your prerogative.
So Diane and Shirley trespassed into my home, and drugs were missing.
Okay.
So what's going to happen with that investigation? Is it because they're white elderly women, one formerly a nurse? We'll just say, oh well? Because I'll tell you right now, the person who called, there's only 2 people that were in my home that day. They were in my home 3 hours before Renee called me. They disappeared, and then after the police were there, they're back in my home going through things again.
Right. I can't answer all those questions. What I can say is the lead investigator on it. Maybe you want to write this name down too.
Yes, I like the lead investigator's name, please.
Sure. It's Constable Martin, PC.
Constable Martin, hold on.
Yep.
How do I spell his last name?
Peacey.
And is he the one that told in the media that they'd like to thank the public for their patience while they safely resolve the quote incident unquote?
I don't know, because
I think it's the same one.
At that time, I wasn't even in the town, in the city of Kelowna, but he is the lead investigator on the file.
And how do I get to him?
You can call the 762-3300 number and ask for him, and if he's not in, they'll give you his voicemail, and I could send him an email. I could forward your contact info to him, and he can call you when he's back into work.
When he's back into work, is he on vacation at the moment?
He's not. No, I just saw him this morning, so I can't say for certain if he's in tonight on nights, but I think he is.
And your name once again?
It's Constable Chapman.
Constable Chapman, thank you very much for your time. And like I said, I'm absolutely, I know exactly who called. And I'm telling you, I have drugs missing from my home.
Right.
And it seems awfully weird. Pardon me?
Go ahead, I'll let you finish and I'll tell you what I was going to say after.
No, it just seems awfully. I'm awfully concerned that a nurse or an alleged former nurse from Prince George named Shirley, whose husband is named Myron, is giving me alcohol knowing I'm on benzodiazepines.
Yeah, and I understand your concern as well as your frustration.
And then then the police show up a few hours later.
Right. And I again, I'm empathetic towards your concern well as your frustration, because, hey, nobody wants to have that happen to them or anybody at their house. But the people to speak to would be obviously the lead investigator first and foremost. He would have more information on it, as well as if you want to get disclosure on the file, you can go through the Freedom of Information Act like I suggested, and it might answer some of your questions as well.
Would it be quicker for me to come into the office directly and file it right there?
Yeah, that's how you'd have to do it.
Okay.
To be honest, Keith, I don't know if there's any other way you can do it. I'm assuming this day and age with being online, I'm assuming there might be. I'm just not aware of it, that's all.
Can you imagine how I must feel as a person who was grieving his husband, who did a year-long battle with pancreatic cancer, who was grieving and sleeping after a extensive period of no sleeping, no rest, caring for someone who's sick? How shocked and how disgusted I am knowing that my taxpayer dollars go to harassing and shooting and ruining property without when a simple knock on the door or even opening a door handle.
Yeah, I can't imagine.
I don't buy this. I don't buy this bit that police never know what they're walking into when taxpayers who are grieving in their own home can't.
I was going to say.
No, but I'm saying when taxpayers in their own home can't trust the police to protect their safety and their property, and go into their home, arrest somebody under the Mental Act without even talking to them.
No, and to answer your first question, I can't imagine the grief that you're going through, just to lose a loved one after 25 years, especially that way.
And especially since I've been approved for, like my husband, because due to illness, assisted suicide. Why I would threaten suicide, then threaten the police?
Yep.
Do you know what I have to go through to get qualified for assisted suicide?
It's not an easy process.
It's not an easy process, and I tell you, it's a hell of a lot easier than grieving a dead husband.
Yes, I can imagine.
Thank you very much, Cosmo Chapman. I really do appreciate you listening. I understand that. I just appreciate your listening.
Hey, Keith, I appreciate you venting, and I will be more than happy to listen, buddy. At the end of the day, I feel your frustration too. I just wanted to touch base with you and see if there's any other questions I can answer for you.
Not at this moment.
Hello.
Myron.
Hello.
Hello, is this Shirley?
It is.
Shirley, it's Keith.
Yeah.
I want to know what happened the other day.
I've told you 5 times already, Keith.
I was talking to Diane.
Okay.
You told me it was Diane when it was you.
No, you called Diane's number and she answered. I happened to be down there right at the time you called her. And we sound so much alike, everybody thinks we're the same person.
Why would you call the ambulance and leave my place and drain my alcohol and remove some drugs?
Remove what?
Remove the alcohol.
There was an empty Bailey's bottle, which we threw in the garbage.
There was 3 drinks out of it.
Well, I tipped it upside down. There was no lid on it, and nothing came out of the bottle. So that's your alcohol.
No, that's not the alcohol that I drank that day, because that would have gave me alcohol poisoning, because I don't drink that much.
Okay. Well, I just told you what I did with the bottle.
And
That's
why would you leave when the ambulance were called?
Pardon?
Why would you leave when the ambulance were called? Why would you stick around to give them details? As a nurse, you know that's important.
They asked us to stay. The police asked us to stay. And I said, what for? And he said, in case we need any information. And I said, well, I don't have any other information.
And do you know what they did to the house?
Yeah, you told me.
What did they do to the house?
I don't need to tell you. You already know. You already told me.
What did they do to the house? Who did it?
I don't know. We weren't there when it happened. We asked if we could leave. I have a diabetic husband, and I had to get home, so they let us go.
So you have a diabetic husband, right? You have a diabetic husband?
Yeah.
And I have a husband who was in the hospital with cancer and who I am immunocompromised as well. And cameras in the hospital show you sneaking into the ward and into my husband's room.
Okay.
So how do you judge your medical knowledge on your inability to weigh the difference between endangering my husband's health and the public health safety of the interior health by not being vaccinated and entering the hospital and going into wards where you are not supposed to be, endangering staff?
Okay, so for one thing, several weeks ago, when Myron and I had picked you up, we were putting our masks on in the car. We typically don't when there's just the two of us. And I said to you, I am not vaxxed. Myron is.
No, you.
Diane is vaxxed because of blood clots.
No, you did not. No, you did not. I would never have gotten in the car given Ed's circumstances.
Okay, well, you know what? Ed died less than 12 hours after I was in there, so I don't think I was responsible for his passing, honey. So, anyway, you know what, Keith? I should let you know that I have talked to the police, and Diane has talked to the police.
Good.
And the other thing is that Diane told you where the money was hidden that we found. Did you find it?
Nope.
Oh, well, the police know about it anyway, because as soon as we found it, I called the police just in case.
Good.
So they are aware of all that. Everything is on their record.
Good.
And told me that if you continue to call me or message me and harass me, he said 3 times and he's out. Okay?
You go ahead and do that. You report them to me today, and I will report you right to the medical association for interfering.
And you know what? The hospital let me in with Myron, so they are aware of all that. So you go right ahead.
Is that why you said you could sneak up into his ward?
And I was allowed in the hospital.
You were allowed to sneak up into his ward? Your words?
Or please.
Your words? I'd call the police because you got some big concerns coming your way. And don't be faking Diane's voice on the phone again, and don't try to intimidate me. You were in my home, and nobody gave you right to enter my home. You illegally entered my home with no reason to. You're a charlatan.